As a quick precursor to this episode, I would love to invite you to attend the autumn edition of my in-person event, Dare Greatly in the Coaching Arena, which will be held on Friday the 8th of November in Barnes, southwest London. It's a 5-minute walk from Barnes Station, and there's also a free car parking place on site. So it's the best of both worlds. We will be preparing and planning for your best ever 2025, and you will leave with that vision and strategy for your next 12 months with a newfound sense of connection and focus. We will be harvesting your present and planting the seeds for a profitable and joyful 2025, allowing your business goals to bloom with ease. I'm very excited to be bringing the warmth of the season and all of those beautiful colours and everything we can learn from shedding what no longer serves us and preparing for spring. Embrace the seasons of change and join me on 8th of November to Dare Greatly in the Coaching Arena. Do not worry if you don't know anyone. I will ensure that you feel welcome from the moment you arrive until the moment you leave. I cannot wait to see you there, and grab the link now in the show notes. Hello and welcome to Women in the Coaching Arena podcast. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Jo Lott, a business mentor and ICF accredited coach, and I help coaches to build brilliant businesses. I know that when you prepare to enter the arena, there is fear, self-doubt, comparison, anxiety, uncertainty. You can tend to armour up and protect yourself from vulnerability. In this podcast, I'll be sharing honest, not hype, practical and emotional tools to support you to make the difference that you're here for. Dare greatly, you belong in this arena. Welcome to the 66th episode of Women in the Coaching Arena. I am so glad you are here. I was brainstorming what to record for you on this Saturday morning and was going to do 5 strategic steps or something along those lines. And I just wasn't feeling like doing 5 strategic steps, maybe because it's the weekend and I'm not feeling particularly strategic today. Instead, I browsed my case studies and cannot believe I have not yet shared my client Zoe Fenn's amazing story on this podcast. Zoe helps develop strong first-time leaders in insight agencies. She was an absolute joy to work with. I think the key parts of her story that I'll share with you for me are that it doesn't matter how much we think we know. It's really hard to do this stuff on your own. And Zoe had already had 15 years experience pretty much doing what I teach in my program, but finding that it's actually really hard to do it yourself because you get in your head, we've got our emotions and our feelings involved, and that there's so much more to learn about running a business, even in terms of the ins and outs of running it, as well as generating clients. Zoe's case study also means a lot to me because it's the model testimonial that, you know, if you do that exercise and someone says, what would you want a client to share about you after working with you, and then like begin with the end in mind? Well, this for me is everything I could ever wish and more. So thank you so much, Zoe. It's also worth sharing in case you are one of those people like I was when I started my business, working 2 days a week around my really young children, that Zoe did all of this inside my program with 2 days a week childcare and 2 children under 5. So hats off to you, Zoe. You have done an amazing job, and I cannot imagine what you will build as you continue to get more time as your children grow.
Hi, Zoe. Thank you so much for agreeing to reflect on your journey with me. Do share a bit about yourself.
Well, I set up the business a year ago. That's just my professional self, isn't it? How much do you want to know? So, professional me set up the business a year ago after having my 2 children. And I set up the business because I wanted to support people who were transitioning into management and leadership roles within the research and insight industry that I used to work in prior to having my family.
And what was going on for you prior to joining the business of coaching?
What was going on was that I was really enjoying what I was doing. I felt like I was in the right ballpark, enjoying it. But I spent a lot of time in my head debating what course of action was best to start really growing the business and translate my coaching skills and my 15-year career in research and insight into a business proposition that people wanted to buy. I had so many different pathways in my head as to how I could do that, and was just spending a lot of time going a little bit into one direction and then pulling back a bit and going a little bit into another and pulling back a bit and feeling a little bit frustrated with that. Just frustration, really, that I felt like I hadn't crystallized what I was about and how to go about really building the business.
And what was the impact of that?
At the time, yeah, well, frustration and poor use of time, which started to impact my esteem and motivation. The coaching qualification teaches you coaching skills, but you don't get any support on like running a business. So maybe I felt like it would be good to get some support there as well.
Yes, exactly. And what did you find helpful from the program?
Oh gosh, lots of things were helpful from the program, really. I mean, your constant availability. That's not something you want to shout about. But honestly, the speed at which you got back to me on an awful lot of kind of small things, important to me, was really, really helpful just practically for moving forward on stuff. So that support I really valued. But in terms of the whole program, what I really valued was the community of people and how much we supported each other. And also the breadth of stuff we covered in the calls, stuff that I wouldn't necessarily have like paid for bit by bit, but it was part of the mix. I kind of felt like there was a lot of added value from it. Things like the copywriting, things like the breathing exercises, listening to somebody else do a presentation, even that kind of thing. And actually how much you gain from even those conversations as well, because you sort of think, oh, maybe this is doable for me now, and get ideas for how I could tell a story like that. So those sorts of things were amazing. And then all of the videos online, the fact you can do that in your own time and you've got a process, but you can also fit it very much around your life, was really, really good. And then when you introduced that half an hour slots, those were really, really very valuable.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Zoe. It's great to reflect for me and hopefully for you too. What was the result for you from being part of the program?
Well, a huge amount of progress on actually creating a business and a viable business proposition. I wouldn't have had the success that I've had with clients were it not for the program, for sure. I've learned from the program how to build a credible offer, and I have learned to iterate. I've learned to get that to a point and then just run with it and then keep iterating as I go. I have learned what sales strategies work for me. I have learned an awful lot of tech from your course, an awful lot of how to make the most of LinkedIn, how to make the most of different technical sales tools, lead magnets, things like that I'd never heard of. Canva, I've migrated everything onto that now. And I just don't think I would have taken all of those steps as well. And when you're running a small business, to make all that more seamless is so valuable as well as actually like generating the sales at one end, but actually creating processes that sit behind that are also efficient. It's helped me both grow the business, but also run the business.
Yeah, totally. And tell us about your successes with clients.
I successfully sold my group program, which I am absolutely thrilled about. I did have a vague group program when I joined in January that was very loose and not to the point and didn't have any of this front door benefit stuff that we've talked about. It was very, this is what you get from coaching. And I've moved it into really standing in the shoes of the business and trying to understand what is it that they want for their staff. So I've translated what was quite inward looking, I suppose, into something that the world actually wants and needs. And I have now seen that succeed in terms of sales. So I have successfully sold my group program, which I'm really excited to have done. I think I'm about to make another sale, so you could wait until I have before you put this out. But I've translated the group program as well into a program for an individual. The group one is my flagship, but I've translated it into one for an individual. And I think he's about to buy that. So I can kind of see now how I've got a signature, but then I can put out other stuff off it. And I don't think selling the one-to-one program is my primary route, because I want to do the group ones. And I think that I will enjoy those more. And there's bigger benefits from that for the business. But if some businesses are too small for the group one, they don't have enough people at that level, I've got a version of it for the individual, which is just so clear now, because I've done all that work through your program on how to really build an offer that you can sell.
Amazing. Yeah, it's so exciting, isn't it? And then you can make that into a book or anything else that you want to, like, or an online course. And yeah, super exciting.
I've got ideas coming out of my head, really. I just can't put them all into practice at the moment. But yeah, I'd love to kind of build an app and build some stuff that people can just access themselves almost and just do their own learning. But yeah, lots of ideas for how I can do it.
What would you say is your biggest takeaway from the program?
It's funny because it's sort of stuff I already did know from my previous career, but I don't know, it somehow you get lost in all the other stuff when you're running a business. But I think it's just to be super focused on the consumer, on the person who is buying. And that was the biggest thing. One of the other big things, I maybe should have mentioned that in what was going on before for me, but one of the big things I was spinning around about wasn't just like, what's the best way to sort of grow this and market it? But it was also like, should I be a B2B business or should I be a B2B business?
Yeah.
And it took a long time for me to feel really comfortable with one or the other. It took a long time to kind of let go of one. But now I am focused on being a corporate business and I want to sell to the agency. It's just made a huge difference to what I spend my time doing and how I prioritize the precious time I have each week to spend on my business right now. That is the single biggest thing for me that was important, because once I had that,
you could
everything flow much more easily. Think about the kind of events I need to be at, the events where the CEOs and the agency owners are, not necessarily the events for the actual like employees. So going to things like the MRS conference, for example, was a big thing for me. So I think I will take away to always think about what that person wants and needs, and to keep myself constantly connected with those people and be doing market research with them, always understanding what their top of mind priorities are and what's worrying them and what's keeping them up at night. And, you know, is it retention? Is it productivity? Is it performance? I think that's the biggest thing. Like, once you know that, you can tell the story around that. And it's not to say I'm like changing what I do. I still am focusing on those people at the beginning of leadership and management, but it's just to stay relevant in terms of why they need me.
Yeah, so true. And it's something that most people think isn't important. So I love that you've shared that, because everyone just wants to jump to like selling the thing. There's so much value in really keeping up with that client.
That's what I've learned. Like, stand in someone else's shoes, see the world from their eyes, ask questions, don't perform, and yeah, really get as much information and get as familiar as you can with what they're doing and what's going on, right down to the specific language that they're speaking. And as I said, it feels so odd to say this. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Like, we'll be giving advice to brands to do that, and giving them the exact language and all, like, everything from personality down to language that would connect with, and then giving that to the brand. But then it's good because I've got a lot of evidence in my head of being a very successful strategy. So I just needed to apply it to my business. And I think you do think when you start a business that it's all about you, and you do get a bit self-absorbed.
Exactly. And we can't do it ourselves. Like, I have a business coach to tell me what I need to do differently, because you just can't see it when you're in it. No matter how much you know the stuff, it's just really hard to see your own blind spot.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot of ego when you start a business. You sort of want it to be successful, and you think, I think you have that belief that, or I probably had that belief that it was about me and what I was doing,
Yes.
make it successful or not. And so you get quite on like what you're producing and putting out there. And I think you can shift to focus on what do they need. But it's such a difficult process to go through on your own, because you have to work out like who you're even targeting and why and all that stuff. And that's what the course does. You see, it kind of lets you get there in your own time. You have your point of view on that right from the outset around niching and stuff. And I think I even heard that in the thing before I bought the program, like about why you need a niche and everything. But I think I thought I had a niche, but I didn't realize until I joined the program that it wasn't quite niched enough.
Yeah, totally.
It's all the stuff around that. Exactly. It's what, and it's the with what offer and all of those different bits. It's, even though I know that theory from as I say, I know that theory from before, but actually applying it to yourself and being disciplined about going through that process, I just don't think that's something you can really do on your own.
No,
not in like 3 to 4 months anyway, or whatever it took me probably took me like 3 months to sort of get that bit going, and then like 3 months more the second half of your program, more selling strategies and how to then be getting the program out there and what worked. I would say I more or less spent 3 months on each, and so it's just a huge amount of progress in 6 months, really.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, it's been brilliant to see. What's next for you, Zoe?
Well, I'm going to design and deliver an amazing group program. It is in the making. A future idea that I do have is creating the same program for a slightly senior level, one about building high trust teams specifically and becoming a head of or a team leadership role. Because I think the program I have now is more for people who are at the very beginning of like trying to have client relationships and trying to line manage people. The next one will be more around how do you scale up your leadership and build teams and have impact and influence at a bigger level. Yeah.
Who would you recommend the program to?
Well, I already have recommended it to somebody who, like I'm connected with, who seem to be feeling similar feelings to me, around just spinning around in their own head quite a lot and getting a bit frustrated with progress. I would recommend this program to people who are really feeling entrepreneurial and really want to build something, and people with a passion for making a business out of what they do.
Totally. And what should others know about working with me?
That you're amazing.
This one.
You are a font of knowledge on everything. I mean, I know you're there as a coach, but you do also have your own experience to draw on as well. And you research things for us or things that the group is interested in as well. So you did quite a lot for me and others like me on the corporate side of things and looking at some of the corporate sales strategies. So I think that you have lots of expertise yourself, and then you'll go away and look up things as well, which is super valuable. So there's the expertise and the fact that you've been there and done it. There's, as I say, the responsiveness. But then there's just all of the warmth, isn't there, as well? There's just all of the warmth and the encouragement and the really kind way in which you challenge us. I think the way you build everyone up and build up the belief, but you keep the baton with us as well, to keep trying stuff and work out what works for ourselves. It's not, in that sense, it is more coaching-esque because it's not prescriptive. It's not, it's not like 5 steps to getting clients type of a thing. There's the frameworks which you need to work through for yourself to build the kind of business that works for you. You're like selling a way for us to solve our own challenges, and whatever those are, whether that your challenge is more at the off end of things or if it's more putting yourself out there. I didn't particularly have that one so much, putting yourself out there, but I did have more of the like getting clear on what I was doing and about. But whatever your challenge is, the frameworks are there for that, for you to work out what works for you. It seems differentiated to me in the market. And then the fact that it's a combination of a group program plus some one time with you as well is great. And the fact that it's longitudinal, it goes over 6 months. I think you need that time. You need that like regular dose of Joe every week to keep you moving on things. So I think that the format of the program is unique and the way in which you deliver it.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so amazing. And I loved working with you. I can't wait to see what's next for you. Thank you so much, Zoe.
I hope you enjoyed listening to Zoe's learnings. She shared some really key fundamental things for you in this episode. And if you would like my support to make this happen, this is what I do. Send me a message on LinkedIn or Instagram. It's Joanna Lott, Joanna with an A and Lott with 2 T's. And let's chat about how I can help you to build or grow your business even further. And like I say at the end of every episode, trust yourself, believe in yourself, and be the wise gardener who keeps on watering the seed. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Women in the Coaching Arena. I have a mass of free resources on my website, joannalottcoaching.com. That's Joanna with an A and Lott with 2 T's, joannalottcoaching.com. And I'll also put links in the show notes below. Let me know if you found this episode useful, share it with a friend and leave me a review, and I will personally thank you for that. Remember to trust yourself, believe in yourself, and be the wise gardener who keeps on watering the seed. Get into the arena, dare greatly and try.